Hey there everybody, Johnny T here, and today we're going to replace the battery in this Luminox Navy Seals watch. This is the older version. It has this really interesting bracelet. Usually you don't see Luminox watches with a metal bracelet like this, but and this one also has some rubber in between each of the links, which is pretty interesting. The only problem is it's missing one of the hollow end links, so can't really use this bracelet on this watch, unfortunately. Luckily, it's a Luminox, so these look really good with NATO or any kind of leather band like that, so not super worried about it. But yeah, so this is a military style watch. This one is actually made out of steel, which again is kind of a rarity for these Luminox watches. You'll see that this one has Traser on there. That's how you know this is an older version of a Luminox watch. 200 meters water resistance, Swiss made. It's got the tritium tubes in it. So tritium is like a radioactive material. It's like a gas that they put in a glass tube, and then they use that to see the time at night. It's not loom, so you don't need to charge tritium. Tritium's always charged. It's radioactive. So I think tritium lasts, what is it, 8-10 years maybe. I have some watches where they still glow after much longer than that, but they don't glow by much. So okay, well, let's bring the camera down a bit more. Yeah, not a bad watch. The bezel is nice and tactile, extremely tactile. It is very solid there. And then it's got a screw down crown. The crown is not signed. So the tritium is actually in the chapter ring. There's a tritium marker for every hour indicator, so that's pretty cool. I highly doubt it's going to be super visible. One of the cool things about this watch is just how deep this chapter ring goes. There's a lot of depth to the watch face, which is kind of interesting, and the tritium chapter ring at the top, it's got this like ledge going on, so pretty cool effect there. On the recessed watch face, we've got 12 primary hour indices. We've got a date at the 3 o'clock, and then we have 24-hour markers towards the center, very military style. We've got our dive bezel, and this is a dive bezel with so usually we've got 15 minutes of indicators, because I think that's a typical time somebody might be diving, is about 15 minutes, or perhaps that's, I'm not entirely sure why they do it that way. Maybe it has to do with how much oxygen is in the tank or something to that effect. But most watches have the first 15 minutes with a lot of indices and indicators for precision purposes. But this one's got indices all the way around, going up to 55 on the unidirectional rotating bezel, and I'm pretty sure this one it's 120 click. So yeah, really cool Luminox watch. Luminox watches are neat. A lot of people think they're kind of toy watches because they're so light. And they're kind of expensive for what you get, but I feel like Luminox has a bit of a cult following. Those who love them really love them, and if you think about it, if you're actually in the military, or if you need a watch, and if you're going to go out for days and it's going to be on your person, you probably want something light. A lot of people forget that having a big heavy watch while you're hiking and camping for days or weeks or possibly even months is not ideal. You do not want, because weight is a problem. You're trying to do everything in your power to reduce weight and Luminox watches do that pretty well. So anyways, enough about this watch. Let's get this case back off. I don't know if this is going to give me any problems. It might. We'll see. I'm just using a standard case back opener, which most people probably have one of these. Yep, that wasn't so hard. Came out pretty easy, actually, considering how shallow the indentations are. Okay, so what we got in the on the inside of the case back, it says China. I think watchmakers have been using China for case backs for a very long time. So what we have here is the movement, and it's using an energizer battery of some kind, and there is a model number there. I can't read it from here, but hopefully it's coming out on the camera. Let me find one of my loops really quick, and I will give that a read. Pretty sure I've got my loops over here somewhere. Where did I put those? Here we go. It says I think this is an ETA 955114. Yeah. 955114. Not a bad movement. Okay, very cool. So we have our coil on the right side. Let's not damage that. So what we want to do, I'm gonna grease this gasket because that's something I'm getting better at doing, is greasing gaskets. I'm gonna stretch it out just a smidge. It's yeah, it feels pretty good actually. That's still a good gasket, I think. So this watch has this kind of piece on the top of the battery to kind of keep it in place. It puts tension towards the case back, and it just, yeah, I think it just puts pressure down on the battery. I'm gonna remove that. So what we're looking at is an Energizer 399. I'm going to use my dental tool. So the spring tension is going to be on this side, and in my experience, trying to pry it as close to that spring as possible is how you usually pop those out, which came out pretty easily. This is a really nice shiny new looking battery. Okay, I'm using my brass tweezers because this battery's dead and I don't care. It's pretty clean, actually. It's extremely clean. So this watch, I don't see any corrosion, I don't see any issues with this battery. 399 should be a 399 for my battery chart, and it is 395, 399, which is what it's supposed to be. So let me pull a new one. Not that bin. We got a Renata 395, 399. We got a Renata. So Renatas are some of the better batteries that you can use. A lot of Swiss watches will actually come with a Renata. So what I usually like to do is carefully puncture the back, lift the plastic over, expose the battery, and then I'm gonna pull the battery out with my plastic tweezers, and then just using the tweezers I'm going to try and install this battery. The technique is you want to try and pinch the corner of the battery, apply pressure down and forward towards the spring, and that'll get your battery in like so. So the battery is now installed. I'm going to get this little battery placer thing on top, and then I'm going to, without the gasket for now, I'm just gonna put this case back on just to see if it's running. Ta-da! You now have a running watch. Very nice, very nice. That thing on the battery moved over a tad. Let's put that back. Beautiful. Okay, so now for the gasket. I've got my gasket greaser. I'm going to place the gasket in like so. I'm going to get my greaser together, and then we just want to kind of twist, try and evenly, and then maybe pinch a little just to kind of get some of this grease on the gasket. And there's always a little excess on here because I messed up. I put some extra grease in when I probably should not have. So there's always a little excess, but you know what? This is actually an acceptable amount of excess grease, I feel. So we're going to go ahead and place this gasket back into the case back. Some gaskets are designed to be placed inside the watch case. Some gaskets are designed to hug the case back rim. Really just kind of depends on how the watch is designed. Yeah, there's enough grease on this where once I start twisting it back on, it'll evenly apply. Because some of it didn't get some of the gasket, but once I start twisting this on, I think it'll probably evenly distribute. Alright, that looks fine. Let's get this case back on now. Alright, and then we can finish up with the ball. And then I'm just going to make sure that the gasket grease actually distributed itself accordingly. Yeah, looks like it did. Alright. Cool. Very good, very good. Excellent. Beautiful. Right on. It's ticking. Sweet. So, let's set the watch. Unscrew the crown. That all feels pretty darn good. You always want to set your hands so the hands are. You always want to make sure the hands are lining up. So having the time set to one of the hours, and then having so the hour lines up and the minutes hand lined up, because the minutes are at 12, which means the hour hand should line up with whatever hour it's on. So that all looks good. We must be in the PM now because I didn't see a date change at 12. Alright, the date changed at 12 like it's supposed to. That's a good sign. It means that the date will probably change at 12. That felt good. Putting the crown back in, I got a nice tactile feel, getting it back to position 0. Position 1 feels good. Quick set works. And you always want to do the quick set at around 6 o'clock, 6:30. I like to do 6:30 because that way neither hand is close to the 12 o'clock, because sometimes you can mistake in the minutes hand for the hours hand, and you might think that, you know, you're over here at 6 o'clock with the hours hand, but you might actually be at 12 o'clock with it. So I think just for, I don't know, it just makes most sense to put this at 6:30, because you don't want to damage your quick set teeth on your calendar wheel or any of that kind of mechanism, and that's the reason why you do that. So. And this crown threads back on very nicely. Beautiful. That is all good to go. Yeah, this is a nice little watch. Oop. Yeah, this might be from the 90s, maybe early 2000s perhaps. Probably early 2000s maybe. The tritium. Yeah, I don't see the tritium glowing at all, actually, so this could be a much older watch. Beautiful. Right on. So let's get dimensions and then talk about price. So this watch has a case size of, I call it 44. I mean, without getting any of the bulk, it's 43. But with the crown and the bulk on the left side, we're talking almost 46. So call it 44, 45 maybe. The lug to lug is 46 millimeters. Lug width is 22 millimeters. Thickness is 11 millimeters. So not a bad watch by any stretch of the imagination. Okay, so what's a watch like this worth? Well, if the bracelet was good to go and it had both of its hollow end links, I don't know, maybe I could get 200 for it, perhaps, if it was in better condition. But because the bracelet... also, the cool thing about this bracelet is it actually has a dive extension. So that's a nice little added bonus. But again, without the end links, I mean, I don't know if you could order end links from Luminox or not for a band this old, but without the, let's say, I mean, I'd probably throw this in with the listing, but it doesn't really add any value as far as I'm concerned. So, and then also this watch, I mean, the crystal is pretty scratched up and messed up over here over at the 3 o'clock. It's got some really big scratches, and it's just generally scratched everywhere. If I could pick that up. Why can't I? There we go. Yeah, so you can see all these little scratches down here, over here, and then these big scratches over here. Kind of a problem. So, this watch in the condition it's in at the moment, I don't know, maybe $100 is what I'd ask for it, because it is an older model, probably discontinued. Definitely don't make them like this anymore, I don't think. Oh, but the tritium is dead though. Well, regardless, there's probably a collector out there for this kind of watch. Case back's pretty scratched up as well, but not terrible. This watch seems to wear pretty well, actually, in my honest opinion. Yeah, not bad. Yeah, I'd try to get about 100 for it, I think. I'd have to look into what model it is specifically. And I'll throw that probably in the title, perhaps, once I figure that out. But I think they call these Luminox Navy Seals, Navy Seal watches. I'm just not sure what date this one in specific was manufactured. So, all right. Well, thanks so much for watching. I'm glad we got it working. It's always nice to get a watch running again, especially one that may not have been running for such a long time. This is interesting to you, yeah, feel free to like and subscribe. That I always get excited whenever I know people are watching these videos, and it what's the word I'm looking for? It motivates me and inspires me to keep making more. So thanks so much for watching, and yeah, I'll see you on the next one. Have a great day. Thank you so much.